Good Monday morning, everybody. We are back for another live agent call review. I am here with Mr. Sebastian. I started listening to Sebastian's call and I thought it would be perfect to come on here and actually do a live call review. The purpose of it is to kind of give an idea of what his thoughts were at the time, and maybe give him some ideas and thoughts on where I would have taken it, or maybe a few different key phrases that I would have said. As I say on every agent call review, this is something everybody should have their mentor do for them. No matter whether it's a good call, bad call, you really need to know what you're doing right and wrong in order to consistently do what's right. Do me a favor, please like, subscribe, drop a comment down below if you would for Sebastian. Give him some love. Yeah, here we go.
Oh,
Hey, Sebastian again. We talked a few days ago. You were in physical therapy when I called
yeah,
for
yeah. I
that
didn't get
final
to.
expense.
I didn't get to hear what this call is all about.
Yeah. So you filled out our form. You put joy beneficiary for some information for final expense. You
Oh
were
yeah, I'm right now. I'm just basically window shopping. I'm getting to the age where I'm starting to get interested in finding out what else available out there. And I just been doing a lot of studying on it. That's all I've been doing. I'm not committing to nothing yet.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So my goal is just to give you some ideas of what you can find out there. Now, what kind of information have you found? Like, do you already know if you're leaning towards like term or whole life?
Yeah, I just want. I'm looking for some kind of package deal where, in my final expenses, I'll be cremated and
Mhm.
the kids will never have to deal with nothing. I'll think I'd make a phone call and when I'm gone and everything will be taken care of. I don't want I want to go as cheap as possible. I just don't want to put anything on my kids. I want to make sure it's paid for my kids so my kids don't have to.
Okay, so great start. When we're talking to somebody who's just window shopping, very good job on keeping the pressure off. You definitely don't want to be like, well, we need to find something to buy today. The ultimate goal is to help somebody, and so if we're going to help them, yeah, they should be window shopping. Now, the window shopping should end at us as long as we give them the right information, and that's the goal of the whole script, is to make sure that we're giving them the information that they're looking for to finally make that decision.
Mhm.
One of the questions that I would have for you, Sebastian, is why did you ask? Are you leaning more towards whole life or term?
They're just every now and then I get this people looking for over $50,000. Sometimes 100, 150. They think this is more of a, you know, lotto ticket that they want to like just leave for their family whenever they pass away, and uh, they don't think about it like any other business, right? The carrier needs to make money as much as hopefully their family can make money when they do pass away. So I just like if that objection is there, and maybe not objection, but if that wrong idea that they can actually get $100,000 for 100, $150 a month, if that's out there, I want to like know about it as soon as I can. That way I can like address it and hopefully move on from there, or just end the call and get another person on the phone, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally figured that's where you were, what your kind of thought process was behind it. The suggestion that I would have for in finding that, it's not terrible to ask. Um, like in this case, this guy's willing to talk to you and kind of tell you the details. So in this case, it didn't hurt you. But for someone who's a little more hard nosed, it very easily could have hurt you, in the fact that if he was looking for something specific, then it pigeonholes you. So you want to, everybody talks about open-ended questions, and open-ended questions are good, but if you don't ask the open-ended questions in the right way, then you get very bland answers, meaning you don't really get down to what you're trying to help them with. So, like in your case, you asked a very pointed question. Are you looking more towards whole life? Or are you looking towards term? Now, that only gives you why I would recommend not to go that route is because it leaves you one lane, one or the other. You see what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
when you do
The
that,
answer
it
is
doesn't
limited.
allow you,
Right.
yeah, it doesn't allow you to expand. It doesn't give you oftentimes much ability to expand. Now, if you ask too open, so what are you looking for? Right? That
Right.
then leaves us so open to him to just go off on whatever. What
Mhm.
I like to ask, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So what I like to ask is, so, and you did ask, so what exactly have you been finding out? And it should have been either left at that because you want to hear his conversation, what his conversations potentially were, or so whenever you're looking into it, what exactly is keeping you from pulling the trigger, actually putting something in place? So get him to kind of talk about, well, everything's been too high. Okay, so the steps to what you want to learn, because you're 100% right. Many people see this as a lotto ticket, and you need to find those people to either help correct them that this isn't a lotto ticket, or
Mhm.
to let them know you can shit in one hand and wish in the other. Right? If he's a lotto ticket guy, then well, everything is just too high and not enough coverage. Oh, okay. So what exactly do you mean by not enough coverage? Well, I've been looking for 100,000. Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Right.
Okay, so whenever you're looking for 100,000, what exactly are the prices that you're hearing for 100,000? And then he says, "Well, I'm hearing $500 for 100,000, and I'm only looking to spend 50." A lot of people will start to open up, and again, everybody's welcome to their opinion of what they
Mhm.
want to get or whatever. But our job is to help educate them and bring really kind of bring people like this back to reality. So anyway, again, you had several questions again, really good. In the beginning, I would recommend a more seamless, an easier approach is, yeah, hey, we spoke the other day, was just getting back to you. And then about the final expenses. Yeah, we spoke the other day, but I was just getting back to you. You were looking into options there for final expenses. Get him to confirm. Even though you talked to him before, you want him to get him to reconfirm that he was looking into it. And then you go into the verification. Every single call you should be, I mean, unless you had like an hour-long conversation with someone yet just yesterday, you should
Right.
be re-verifying their information because we're professionals. You should always verify their information, which you did. You verified.
Beneficiary's name. Yeah.
Yeah, I would always recommend two pieces of information. Again, um, one is not really enough to verify somebody, and then three is tends to kind of be too much information. So
Right. They get kind of like stressed about, yes, I filled that out. Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah, because you just keep repeating information
Yeah.
that, dude, you got it right. Stop. So
The main reason why I kind of like sometimes go too hard, like especially I think in that call, I was very talking with Cody and all. I didn't want to back out on wanting to find if he's a prospect or a suspect, right?
mhm.
And it's happened to me before that I kind of like get something like that, like I'm looking for 100,000. I've been getting a lot of numbers or something like that, and I just continue through the process. I get to the quote, and because I didn't stay on that topic and I didn't like answer to the possible objection that could, build from there, then I get to the end and they need to think about it or they think it's too expensive. I didn't set the right expectations, which is what I'm trying to like focus on now. Like either setting the right expectations in a very subtle way because they didn't say anything, or if they do say something like that, trying to make sure like what is it that they're expecting, right?
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, it perfectly makes sense. Again, the script is designed in a way, and how you use the script is also how you avoid those objections. It's always better. I say it a lot. It's always better to be proactive than reactive, and that's
Hmm.
that's the ultimate goal. So yeah, you absolutely should be doing that.
Pass away. Gotcha. So from what you're telling me, it sounds like whole life is gonna be the way to go. And just to like add to the information that you currently have, there's two types of policies: term and whole life. Term expires between 10 to 15 years, depending the kind of term that you take. Whole life is there forever, and it has a price lock, so it never increases. Now, that's really important for whenever you're on a fixed income. Is that your condition? Like, are you on a
Yep.
fixed income or you still
Yep,
working?
I am. I'm retired. Yep.
Okay. So what made you jump into the term and whole life and then tell him that it sounds like whole life? So just for the record, did you guys have a like a long conversation or like an actual conversation before this?
It was a little bit over like 3 minutes, definitely under six. That's why I was like kind of like surprised when he said, I wanted to know what this call was about. I thought he was confusing me with someone else. It
Mm.
wasn't long, really, but it was just mainly him telling me, yeah, I've been shopping around, I've been getting some prices. I'm not really happy. I want to know like if you can do something better for me. So I had that in my notes, and that's why I was like, you don't know what this is about? So I was like, yeah, and I just basically reconfirmed it. Maybe he'll remember. But yeah, it wasn't long. He was in the middle of physical therapy. So
Or okay. Yeah, no, the question I would have is getting back into the call, him being a little confused and so forth. Uh, what made you go into so sounds like whole life is your better option and do you know the difference between term and whole life already at this point?
I think what I think that I and again that's something bad that I could be doing, that I am getting my experiences from other calls, from a call that I had right before that one, a person looking for $150,000. And then when I got him on the phone, maybe I was, thinking about that, and I was already trying to like, I was assuming that he would have been looking for prices for amounts of coverage over 50,000, and I was mixing stuff that I shouldn't have been mixing. I
You
think.
were kind of prejudging
Yeah,
in a sense. Yeah.
yeah.
Which
I think
is
that I was
that
doing.
is very easy to happen. Whenever you make so many calls and it oftentimes happens after you've talked to four different people who are looking for that lottery ticket instead of just one, but it is easy for it to bleed over. That is
Mhm.
a bit of a expert tip to maximize your amount of sales. That is one big thing that is going to bring you out ahead of everybody else, especially those who are struggling to make more sales. Is shut your mind off from the previous call and start over anew,
Gotcha.
right? It's difficult. There is absolutely no doubt. It's like getting in a fight with your wife. Sometimes it's hard to forget the things that she
Bring it
said
up.
yesterday and not bring up the
Yeah.
the the past. But that literally is what you have to do. You have to just kind of shut it off and forget it, and accept that you're with somebody new. But completely makes sense. I would just recommend, you know, take a step back, slow down. I definitely wouldn't have tried to get into it so fast. Now, the one thing I will say about saying, well, I would definitely recommend whole life is again, you don't want to pigeonhole yourself. You don't want to put yourself in a corner where you can't back out of if something if the conversation takes a left turn. So
Like
meaning
talking too much about day one coverage and then not being able to qualify for anything but graded, right? It might be.
1000%. Yes, you absolutely that's exactly why you want to protect yourself. But you could find out that he's leaning, and this has happened to me too, by the way, but you can find out that he's leaning towards whole life. It sounds like he's all about whole life. He's talked whole life up and how he likes it. And then all of a sudden you get ready for the quotes and he's like, "Well, I want a term." you know so and I'm not one to sit here and argue with someone who says that they want something. Now, just because he says he wants term doesn't mean he'll qualify. So that's another part of the factor. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I would recommend not talking about, hey, look, so it looks like what you want is whole life. You state the things, okay, so it would have been different to say, okay, so do you know the difference between term and whole life? So term is short for terminate. You know, you go through the explanation, and so anything that you and I talk about is going to be locked in for the rest of your life. You know, it's not like these other companies over here. And he says, oh, yeah, so it sounds like whole life is the way to go. Well, that's typically what I would recommend, but we want to make sure that we find the best plan for you. But that's usually the direction we would go. You see how I'm not pushing, but leading him that way, but still allowing him to make that left turn if need be.
Yeah, I think one of the other things that I like listening to my recordings, I wanted to make sure that I sound like the expert, that I'm acting like the expert. I know what's best for you. I'm not gonna tell you what you should buy. I'm not gonna tell you how much, but at the end of the day, like I listened to some of my calls 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, and I sounded like if the person was easygoing enough, I sound like the expert. But if the guy was telling me, listen, I'm just shopping around, I just want this, I just want that, I'm not gonna buy anything today, I would take a step back and I would be like, hey, it's all good. Like we'll do it your way, and I would just let them lead me. So which one sounds best for you? So which one do you want to do? So which one is something that like have you thought about this before? What makes sense for you versus me going like, okay, so based on what you're telling me, it sounds like you need this. It sounds like you want this. Am I right? Like, is this something that makes sense for you? And trying to like tell them, trying to like make them go from this is what I want to, okay, I know that I like. It sounds like you know what I want, so you tell me what's best for me, and that's the energy that I've been trying to like. That's the idea that I want them to have from me, right?
Mhm.
Same as I remember you. I mean, talking about the client that I had the other day with that term policy and about initially she was very about I want the cheapest, I want this, and I want that. And at the end of it, she was like, "Yeah, Sebastian, you tell me how you want to do this, and we'll make it happen." Only because of the system being down, me not being able to run American Chemical. So yeah, that's what I've learned in the past 10 days, and that's what I want to start doing now. Right now, if I'm doing it too much, then you tell me because from what you're telling me now, it sounds like I am doing it too much. I am maybe not giving them the option. I should back down a little bit more. Like
So being the expert, there's a fine line between being the expert and then being the know-it-all. Right? The know-it-all is telling somebody this is what it is and this is what you should do. The expert is, okay, so these are the options. And when it comes to the options, it's up to you to make the best decision. So the expert
mhm,
lets the client feel like they're making more of the decision by empowering them with the information.
makes perfect sense. Yeah.
So, and that's all comes down to positioning and tonality, right?
Hmm.
So, if you're like, well, so term is short for terminates, and well, whole life is amazing. You know, that's way different than so. Whenever we're looking at the difference between term and whole life, it's really simple. You see how I bring it down? Term is short for terminates. So you really enunciate terminates, right? So little
Do
tonality
you want to
differences.
guide them
Yes.
more than telling them which one is going to be best for them?
Yep. That's
Gotcha.
exactly right.
So 90% of my clients are, so whenever they tell me, Sebastian, I need something for my final expenses only, like whenever I pass away, I want that to be taken care of. Whole life is the way to go. Like I said, rate lock, price never changes, and the amount never changes. So let's say, God forbid, you get a heart attack in 2 years. They do not do any medical checkups. You are set for life.
I'm going to give you a little tip, just a few words to change. What you said there was absolutely fine, but to improve it a little bit, what I would say is, so what I have to offer, right? The way you said it is whole life. So like everybody has whole life and any Joe Schmo can do this,
Mm,
right?
okay.
You're still doing good by um talking up whole life so that way he understands that it is the best option for him. But you want to let him know that this is what I can offer. So
Right.
you want it
Not
to
everybody
feel,
has this.
that's exactly right. You want it to feel like you have better options available, which you do, and that you have, you're going to be the expert to get him those better options.
Okay.
So,
Makes sense.
so yeah, whenever it comes down to what you and I are going to talk about today, Sebastian, is it's never going to change due to age or health. So I'm always going to make sure that that price is locked in for you. So as long as you make that monthly payment, I'll make sure they'll never change that rate on you.
Mhm.
Again, little ways to make you more important.
Gotcha. Nice. Now, obviously, getting the cheapest price available is important to everybody in today's economy, right? So,
Yeah.
to make sure that we do that, broker for the state, I'm a licensed broker. So basically, it's not like talking with Jake from State Farm, and then you have to call Progressive and 10 other different companies. I'm gonna compare all the different carriers we have in the state right now, and then we can talk about how much they cost and see if that makes sense for us. Sounds like a plan?
So I want to commend you on that statement right there. So I say Jake from State, I'm not Jake from State Farm, I
I've been
already say
listening.
that. But the thing that you added in there is, so I'm not like Jake from State Farm. You're not going to have to go to multiple companies. I'm going to look at all those companies for you. You're not going to have to go to State Farm and then Progressive and look at all these different rates. I'm going to be able to help you. I actually used that on a call after I heard that part. I actually used that on a call afterwards. I believe that was one of the sales that I made this last weekend. Was I
Nice.
use that hey, look, whenever it comes to doing all the shopping, instead of you going to each individual company and finding all the rates and not even really knowing exactly what you're getting, I'm going to explain to you exactly what you're getting, and I'm going to save you all that time of looking at all those different rates. Now, the
Yeah.
reason the reason why I use that is because she had been talking about how she had talked to several people. She was starting to get tired of looking into it. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
use it every single time in that manner, but yes, I think you could probably get away with using it just about every time because I think it's that good.
Yeah. Whenever like I've been using it way more when I get somebody telling me I'm just shopping around because I see that, and it's not the script's fault. It's not our fault. It's just the fact that they are just not listening to you sometimes. Oh, there it is. So it's sometimes they're just not listening to you, and you can tell them, I'm a broker. I'm gonna shop around all the carriers for you, but it's still at the end of the call, they would still they would still think, okay, great, now I have to call some other people to get other prices, and I'm like, no, but you're not listening to me. So let me make sure that we understand. I am doing the shopping right now, and when you go a little bit deeper with that, sentence, with that idea, they tend to understand a little bit more. But yeah, I think sometimes I'm not, reading the script verbatim as much, but I think like I'm mainly using that only when I get like I want to shop around, I want to make sure that I get the best price in the state. That's when I would use that more. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's a good way to set yourself apart, to make sure even if somebody's not talking about shopping for price, it's a great way to set yourself apart from them to feel like they need to go anywhere else. Sometimes we make the wrong assumption. They're not saying anything about wanting to shop, and we're like, "Oh, this is a done deal. You're ready to put in an application." They're like, "Well, I think I want to call around a couple more places. So it's
Right.
really not a bad thing to make
To
sure
make
you
sure you
don't run
say it.
into that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I again I liked it that much that I wound up using it right afterwards. So yeah, without a doubt, man.
Yeah, but is there anything? Have you got anything you can just send me in the mail? Any kind of literature site that I can go to and read what you guys are offering?
Yeah. So really, I'm not offering anything at this point because I don't even know what company you would be
Right.
interested in. But if we first find that company, what I can do
Mm-hmm.
is, share the numbers of how much they can charge for X amount of of the policy, and then all of the policy is the same way. You pass away, it pays out. So if you like the numbers, if you like, what we can find, if that makes sense for you in terms of budget and amount of coverage, then we can discuss the next steps. Okay?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, I'm going to start with budget because you already mentioned it. And
Very beautiful. Again, gonna commend you again because you're not stating, hey, look, what I like about that is you're not stating, hey, look, I can't send you anything. I don't have the ability. It would cost me too much. I've actually had that habit myself of going straight to that. Listen, doofus, I am not going to spend $1,000 mailing you, 100 pieces of information for every carrier that I work with. I get defensive. But you did a
right.
really
And then
great
they get
job.
defensive too, right? Yeah.
Yes.
This is something that I was listening, like in terms, like some from your calls, some from Cody's, and it's like that laid back of, hey, I get nothing to send you yet, like,
Yeah.
and acting in a way like I'm doing this for you, like I'm doing like acting in that way of like I don't need to sell you, and this was right after the call with Brandon. I think that I don't have nothing to sell you yet, or sorry, I have nothing to sell you in this case. I have nothing to send you yet, but I was trying to use that same vibe through the entire call, like laid back. I don't really care if you want if you buy or not. If you want me to help you, I'll help you. If not, you know, see ya, that was the kind of vibe that I was trying to like have. I think I did it too much. So like listening back to my like listening with you now, I kind of like sound a little bit boring, bored, and definitely that's not my intention. So I think I have to find a way to step that up just a little bit in terms of like energy and sounding like happy. I don't know. What do you think about that? Like maybe sound a little bit bored?
No, I don't think, I mean, I know you, so yeah, maybe a little bit. But for everybody's got their own way as coming off as the expert, right? Some people cannot do any emotion or can only do very little emotion behind what they're saying. And I didn't get the sense that could you do a little more emotion? Yes. Uh, but I don't feel like it's pertinent in this situation. So, uh, yeah, I would recommend a little more emotion if you want to always, if you want to get, if you want to try to make the most sales, right? If you want
That's the
to
goal,
try to
right?
maximize
Yeah.
as many people as possible, then I would add a little more emotion with it, and avoid being too dry. But I wouldn't say that you were too dry either, right? Like it was, you're enough. Um, the most important part is to always sound confident in what you're saying, and that is the way it's absolutely coming off. Is you are confident in what you're saying. You've been doing this, and that will instill the confidence in them, in you. So, yeah, no, I would, yeah, again, I would put a little more emotion in it, but I wouldn't put a whole lot of stock into it. Just get the basic parts down. You're right along that edge of getting all the basic parts down. Get those down, and then you can start adding in the little flares and the right tonalities and the right parts. So.
That's the most important part. So when you think about budget, I know you want to be cremated, but do you want to leave a little bit extra behind? Are you trying to like get as much as you can, or
Well,
how
that's
much?
just it. I don't know. I've got a couple phone numbers here right now that I'm dealing with where they'll make sure I'm taken care of, and then whatever's left they'll give to the kids. And then I got another one that I'm looking at right now where the kids will just get a check and they'll have to pay out of that in order to have me cremated. So
So when
I'm
you
looking
say
at
that you get a couple of numbers, you mean that you've already received a couple of quotes?
well,
He said
yeah,
phone
I've
numbers.
already,
I
I've
have a
been
couple
doing
of
this for
phone
about
numbers.
a month
That's
now.
the
I've
part
been
that.
looking into a lot of different places, and I
And
got a
what
lot
do
of
you
different,
think would be keeping you from moving forward? What's been the main reason?
because every time I check into it, I find a better deal. I'm not going to commit to nothing right now because I keep finding better deals than what I found before.
Okay. And
my most
when do you think
important
would
thing.
be the end of it? Like, you keep calling different people. Like, what's gonna take you from I got a better deal to I'm gonna commit to something?
Oh, I don't know. It's once I figure out, I got I've looked into maybe 4 or 5 different places right now, and 2 of them I'm contemplating whether to commit to or not, just because of their price, and what they're offering. That's
Perfect, perfect. Do you know their names by any chance? AARP, SBLI, Mutual of Omaha, Transamerica. Like, what companies are you?
I don't remember. I think one of them was Globe Life. I don't remember. That was the
Right,
more
that's a
expensive
term though.
one. But
That's
yeah,
that's why I was trying to like explain that to you, right? Because
right.
at the end of the day, if you make a decision based on little information or what a salesman try to tell you, that
Hmm.
decision might not be the best for the future. So my
Right.
job, like I told you before, I have nothing to sell you. My job is just to give you the facts. I work through
Hmm.
the state program. I don't make money by selling you anything. I just make money by presenting you because I have a lot of people to call because a lot of people keep filling out those forms, right? At the end
Uh-huh.
of the day, people that need it are going to get it. If they don't, that's fine. What I want
Yeah.
for you, though, Daryl, is I want you to have the facts in order so you can make the best decision. Now,
Right.
I don't know if you've been approached like this before or not, or just people giving you random prices that are really not going to help you at the end, right? The best way to approach this is this: what do you need? How much can you afford? And then we get to what makes sense for you based on those 2 things. First of
Right.
all, you're telling me that you want something that is going to cover your family whenever you pass away. Daryl, are you
Yep.
going to pass away in 10 years?
I hope not.
You hope not, right? 15 years?
Well, I'm expecting most of the guys in my side of the family live to somewhere between 80 to 90.
Okay. And how old are
So
you now?
I'm almost 70.
Almost 70. Okay.
I'm only
So
67 right now.
you're 67, so you're extremely young. And I say extremely because most people looking for final expenses are between the ages of 40 to 85. Okay. So
Hmm.
you're right in the middle. You can get good prices today. Tomorrow is going to be more expensive. In a year from now, it's going to be more expensive, and so on and so forth. Now, Daryl,
Hmm.
you don't know when you're going to pass away. You want to live as much as you can based on what you are telling me. Term expires at 85. Term increases every 5 years. Term doesn't promise you that you're going to have the same policy in 5 years because if something happens to your health, let's say,
Hmm.
God forbid, you get a stroke, you get high blood pressure that is borderline, whatever, you stop qualifying for it. And at that point, if you try to get whole life, it's going to be more expensive for you. Does
All right.
that part make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So Globe Life, AARP, AAA, Colonial Penn, $9.99 for $1,000 in coverage. All of that's going to be term. Sounds great.
Hmm.
Sounds cheap. 5 years later, you don't qualify for it anymore. They're doubling the price. I don't know if you're going to be able to pay double, then triple in 10 years, then,
Oh, wow.
so on and so forth over 5 years. It can get
Hmm.
kind of dumb. Is it a good product? Sure. If you have a kid that is 12 years old, he needs you for the next 8 years, he depends on your income, you want to get some term for like 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000, it's cheap. You're betting that that you could die. You need protection, same as car insurance, you get term. Now you're talking about whole life. So whole life is going to be a whole different animal, but that's why we need to really separate those products because they're not comparable side to side. So if
Right.
we start talking now about whole life, I'm going to give you some prices. Again, I can give you Glow, I can give you ARP, I can give you all of them because I'm a broker through the state. You don't need to shop around. I'll give them all to you. You give me a name, I can give you the number. But if I give those numbers to you and those are whole life, and then you start thinking about, oh, but AARP told me this, we're not comparing apples to apples because we're
Right.
comparing a term that you will hopefully outlive and have nothing to show for it at the end, or
Hmm.
you'll get another whole life and the prices are going to be comparable and I am going to be able to provide you with a better deal being that I can give you everything that is offered in the state. Now, are we on the same page there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, do you know term after the explanation that I just gave you? I'm not trying to tell you not to get it. If you have
No.
dependents, it's a good idea. But if you don't,
Yeah.
it's not a good idea.
No, I'm on my own. All my kids are grown up and moved away. I just want, what I'm looking for is something that I can afford, where when I'm gone, kids make a phone call, they come in and take care of everything. They, I want to go through the process of being, not buried, but,
Cremated.
yeah, because that's the cheapest. I just want that, and I don't even care if they get, remains back or anything. I don't want them to say, okay, give me a can of his remains and I'll go spread it out at the lake. I don't care about none of that. I just want the body taken care of, so the kids don't have to do nothing, and then hopefully there's a little bit of money left over, because I don't know what cremation costs anymore.
So
Great job on the explanations. Whenever it comes to the pointing out Colonial Penn, Globe Life, and everything, great job. The one thing I will say is there was like 2 to 3 minutes of just you talking.
too long, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we want to make sure that the client stays engaged. This guy does not sound like he's actually listening to you. And
Really?
that's one
Oh.
thing. Yeah, not 100%, right? Like he does not sound, he sounds like he's hearing it, and he's heard enough of it that I think he's going to hear enough of what you're saying for it to matter, right? But
Mhm.
again, the goal is to get everybody to commit, not just this guy. This guy's a little, he's one of those that's not a lay down. But if you at least say some of the right things, he's going to buy from you. Because in the end, you do wind up making sale. And I am certain that a lot of it is due to the fact that you explained many details. Now, one little critique that I will give you is whenever it comes to explaining the term, be very careful how you explain it. Make sure that if you're going to explain the details, make sure you're pretty much 100% right. The reason why I say that is because if this guy picks up the phone and he talks to Globe Life, and Globe Life is like, no, no, this doesn't end at 85. It goes till, all they have to do is say, no, it doesn't end at 85. No, it's not a 5-year term, right? What Globe Life actually is, at least most Globe Life, I think they have whole life plans, but the majority of Globe Life sold is what I always tell clients is that's actually a renewable term. They can package it as whole life. So they make it sound like it's going to last you your whole life. But what they don't tell you, or what they don't clearly explain, is that it's going to end at age 90 in most cases,
Oh,
in
it's
almost
90.
all cases. Yes, age 90.
Okay. So I've
Um,
been okay. So I gotta fix that piece of information
yes.
in my brain then.
And,
I've been
and,
saying
and be
that forever.
careful in speaking in absolutes, right? Like it's going to do this, it's going to do this. So
Mhm.
I always say most Globe Life, because again, you never know. Sometimes carriers add plans, sometimes
They come up with
they're
a new product, right? Yeah.
yes, exactly. So you want to be careful. In most cases, in the majority of cases that I run into, Globe Life is an increasing term. And the way Globe Life works is it increases every 2 years. They package it as a whole life because it's guaranteed to always be there. But the problem is every 2 years it's going to go up because they're going to look at your age and increase it based off of your age. So if you're so always keep that in mind. Now, one of the things that you pointed out, and might be because you say it like I did or like I do, but that's when you're looking at options, you want to compare apples to apples. If you want
Yeah.
this, you want to compare apples to apples. If you want this, you want to compare apples to apples. But these two things, when you compare them, they're not apples to apples. So you did a fantastic job explaining that. The only thing I would recommend is throughout all the things that you said, maybe some of them were a little lengthy. Um, the as a whole, it was definitely too lengthy, but maybe some of the explanations was a little too much. Sometimes less is more, but
Yeah. I
um,
need to learn how to like what's that sweet spot for me because, and I think this was like over a week ago. The first time that we spoke with him was a week before this conversation, this recording, right? He was on the physical therapy, and I think he might have mentioned Globe Life, and maybe that's why I was trying like I was trying not to give up as I normally do, take a step back and go to the quotes, and then for him to go like, oh, but with Globe Life I can get like 100,000 for this amount. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, at that point it's too late.
Potentially, yes.
Right? Or at least that's what it's been happening with me a lot. They always, and even if I'm able to convince them, they want to think about it. But if I'm able to get like all of the objections out of the way and like, do you want this? Do you understand that we're not comparing the freaking price from Globe Life to this because this is two completely different products? If they don't understand it before, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but if they don't understand it before, normally at the end, if I'm able to make them understand, then they have too many options. Now they need to think about it. But if they understand it before the prices, now we get to the prices. Now the only thing they need to think about is middle, low, middle, or high. One of those three options. And that's what I wanna. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I that is a great strategy, right? Like to get them geared towards that. The the best way to approach the Globe Life situation, again, is to ask them questions, right? Again, you want to get the client engaged so that way they're talking themselves or walking themselves down the road. So
Hmm.
ask them. So whenever it comes to, so you got a Globe Life quote. So what exactly did they tell you about that policy? Oh, that it's,
I never asked that.
50,000 for blah, 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 blah. Okay. So did they mention, is it increasing term? Oh, I don't know, maybe. I don't think so. Oh, okay. So actually all the Globe Life that I run into, and again, stating it that way doesn't make it sound like all Globe Life, but all Globe Life I run into. So all Globe Life that I run into is an increasing term, so it increases every 2 years.
I see what you're
Are
saying.
you
And then the
okay with that?
conversation, right? But by asking that question, those 3 minutes that I just talked, I could have him be involved in the conversation and use suggestive curiosity, right? Have they told you
Yes.
how that works? And then having them tell me, no, they haven't. Can you explain to me? And then I can keep talking. Yeah, that
Yes.
makes perfect sense. But I
Yes.
wanna know
Always
that. Yeah,
get the prospect engaging 100%. So
awesome. Nowadays, depending where you are, and they range between 2,000 up to 2,500. With
Mhm.
inflation, though, in 20 years, let's say 30, 40, 50% increases. If you get a policy at least of $5,000, you are going to be set for life in terms of cremation, and every single dollar after that is going to be for your kid, for Joshua, right?
Mhm.
Now,
Okay.
um, so we're on the same page here. So everything that you're telling me now sounds like whole life. And again, price lock never changes.
Mhm.
Is there forever as long as you keep paying for it. Okay.
Right.
Now,
Right.
before I start looking, because again, we have a lot of carriers out there, there's two main things that we need to go through. One is going to be your age and health, because that's how they determine what prices they give you. I'm going to
Mhm.
always shoot to get you preferred, which means best prices in the state. The next one is standard, and below that is what is called a guaranteed. If you've ever seen guaranteed acceptance, that means a 2-year waiting period. The downside
Mhm.
about a 2-year waiting period is that it's dumb. If you pass away in the first 2 years, then you don't get paid. Now, obviously,
Right.
that's even going to be more expensive, so we're going to avoid that. And then number
Okay.
two, which actually is going to be my number one, is your budget. That's going to be our starting point to make the search for the 39 carriers, and then we'll go up from there if it makes sense. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
what's that budget for you? You're on a fixed income, you know your numbers. Where do you want me to start looking? And then we can go up from that number. From one quick
yeah.
thing, I hope, because I see that I just shot myself in the foot. Like if I need to sell like a 2-year waiting period, but I am trying to think, was there something that led me to say that? Because like now listening to it, I'm like, why did I say that? I don't even know how his health, like what's with his
And you know
health.
what's
So
great
yeah,
is you hearing it makes you
yeah,
realize that you said it,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Well,
You
that's bad.
uh, again, it's not absolutely awful. The it's okay as long as somebody's healthy enough. It's a problem
Right.
whenever you run into somebody who's not healthy enough. Now, it's okay to say, hey, look, our absolute goal is to avoid a 2-year waiting period. I don't see any problem in saying that because our policy or our ultimate goal is not to write a bunch of guaranteed issue. Now, if we had 50 people call us wanting guaranteed issue and they said, look, I want to put this in place, we're not going to turn them down. Right. That is our ultimate that is our acceptance of doing guaranteed issue. But if we're talking to somebody, the reason why I say it's okay to position it that way is because when it comes down to this guy in particular, he winds up being healthy enough, and you want to let him know that you're working towards something. Now, again, the positioning of it is really key. So, hey, look, I'm going to make you look as good as I can on paper. Make sure everything is notated. So my goal is to get you that preferred rating, right? Um, and I'm going to fight for you, something along those lines. But
We're
again,
on
I
the
would
same
say
team. We against the carrier, right? Yeah, yeah.
yes,
But
yes,
without saying that would be dumb to get a 2-year wait, like I said, because I'm like,
yes.
what? Okay, then I'm not gonna get it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
you
dumb.
almost guaranteed to shoot yourself in the foot if he winds up having
Yeah,
to go guaranteed issue because he's gonna be like, well, that's dumb. You just told me it was dumb. Why would I want to do guaranteed issue? Which isn't the end of the world because we're not shooting to issue, to
guaranteed
actually
anyway.
sell
Right,
guaranteed
right.
issue. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, just hearing little things like that really makes a big difference in knowing what you said. So that way, okay, I need to avoid saying that next time. So, no, that's perfect.
That range.
Well, that's just it. That's where I'm at right now. I've been looking to see what I can afford. Actually, the cheaper I can get by, the better it will be. But I just want my main worry is having the kids guaranteed that it's going to be done, and they don't have to okay, well, we can't do this because this happened or that happened. I want some kind of guarantee that it's going to happen.
Right. So all of the
That's part of it.
companies that are A-rated through the state paying 24 to 48 hours from the death cert certificate. So that's a fact. That's government law. There is no
Mm-hmm.
company that can go behind that from final expense policies. If you're talking about like other kind of policies term, they can pay in 3, 4, 5 weeks, but final expense 24 to 48 hours after death certificate. So we're
Okay.
set with that part. About making a call, the nice thing about dealing with a brokerage instead of just an agency, that you don't have to call a 1-800 number overseas. They put you on hold for 10 minutes. They transfer you to
Mm-hmm.
somebody else. You talk to a robot. You press 3 numbers again, and then you speak with a human. No, you always deal with the brokerage. In this case, that's going to be me. If I pass
Yeah.
away before you, it can happen. God knows when, he wants to like take you home. If that happens, all of my clients go directly to my brokerage because that's where they live. So
Mm-hmm.
your policy would be handled by somebody else. So they call a
Right.
human being, hey, Sebastian or whoever would be if I pass away, right? My dad died. Okay, great. I would have their email, their phone, everything, right? Okay, great. Give me 10, 15 minutes. I sign all of the paperwork that I needed for them so they don't have to do it alone. I send it back. They put their signature on it, give me the death certificate. I show it.
Okay, so whenever it comes down to this section, the thing I will say is, or I would say the biggest thing that I would say is, again, the explanations get a bit lengthy, right? You can be very short and sweet to the point. Hey, look, whenever it comes down to it, I'm going to be there for your kids. I'm going to be there for your beneficiary to make sure that the process is simple and easy. Wherever I can help, I'm going to be there to help. So you did great pointing out the difference. That, hey, look, you're calling into Jake from State Farm. You're never going to talk to Jake from State Farm again. But by dealing with me, I'm going to be there to help your beneficiary whenever that time comes. But the critique I would have is that the explanation is a bit long. So
Yeah, I can see that. $60, $80. I'm gonna get you the highest one that they can afford that they offer me,
All
right?
right. Put it this way: what can I afford for $50 a month? Is that possible?
At that point, I was trying to like fetch how much can you afford, and I don't know if I should have done that. It has helped me more. Like every now and then I would get a person saying, "Well, I don't know, just tell me how much I can get, like how much I can I have to pay for 10,000." But whenever I explain it a little bit, like a little bit differently, and I say, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna start shopping around now. There are a lot of carriers. Tell me where I should start looking, and then we can go up from there." Whenever I get that number, I've been closing more at least.
Yeah.
Has they been very good, very big policies? No, but at least I've been like seeing that improvement. So, do you think that's good? Like always trying to get a budget is the best way to go.
Yeah. So I do the majority of the time, yes, you should be getting the budget. Um, I would say where you shouldn't worry about the budget, like this guy has been shopping around. Um, so a different way to say it is so exactly what amounts are they showing you that seems a little bit high, right? So instead of flat out asking what his budget is, you can ask what other agents are giving him, and so that 10,000 that they're showing you for $90, is that actually affordable to you? Like, is that something you could actually afford? No, no, that's why I'm still shopping. Okay, yeah, that's no problem. I will do whatever I can to make sure we get you the most money for the amount of money that you can afford. So you're probably looking somewhere around maybe 50 to $75. Make Try to get them give you a range, because again,
Mhm.
when you get them to give you a dollar amount, an exact dollar amount, like in this case, he's searching for 50. Now you're kind of pigeonholed to that $50. Doesn't mean he's locked in at that. But if you
Right.
get the 50 to 75, well, now you can give a quote at 50, a quote at 65, and a quote at 80.
Hmm.
See the difference? So now you can
Gotcha.
start to get higher premiums because you're showing higher amounts. So that would be my recommendation. Again, walk them. It's less of a direct question, but you're still getting the same answer when you're asking, okay, so how much are they showing you? Right now, if
Mhm.
someone's not telling me that they've been searching for prices and they're like, look, I just want to hear I just tell me what 10,000 is. Okay, that's perfectly fine. So if we get a rate for 10,000 and that's not something you can afford, are you just going to stop looking? Well, no, no. I just need to know what 10,000 is going to be, so that way I can make the decision. Okay, that's perfectly fine. And then I will just go ahead and pull up a rate and lob it at them, right? Because if someone's really forcing you to a specific dollar amount, most people you're going to irritate more than by pushing back on them to try and get the budget. You'll irritate them more in that sense. So what I
Mhm.
would recommend is again, in this case, if he's really if he hasn't mentioned anything about actually shopping, just go right at him with so whenever it comes down to 10,000, this is is that something that you would be if you can't afford that, is that you just not going to get anything?
Right.
And again, if their answer is, well, no, if I can't get 20,000, I'm just not going to get anything. Now they're most likely a suspect. You can throw the 20,000 out there because on the rare occasion you'll get somebody say, "Oh yeah, I like that price."
Right. Might as
But
well try it out if we're already at the
yes,
end of the line, right? Yeah.
yes, rather than pissing them off and making them hang up, why not
Right.
just lob something out there? And if they like it, then great. Um, But if
Makes
they
sense.
say, "Well, yeah, I mean, if I can't afford the 20,000, then I need to get something." Now you're talking to a reasonable person. Okay. And then you can give them the three rates and kind of walk them back into getting the quotes.
Perfect. Sign. Some of them do voice signature, meaning that we would have to call the company together. We give them your data. They get my information. We tell them what we're trying to apply for. They ask for permission to check your medical records, make sure that you don't have any active cancer and are trying to get day one coverage. Assuming that we get approved, they mail the policy to you. From the moment you get the policy in the mail, that this is government law, you have 30 days to look at it and make sure that that's what I was trying to handle the objection of just send me something on the mail that he said twice during the call. Uh, I believe he said it the first time that I called. Like, listen, I don't do this through, I don't do stuff through internet. I do stuff through mail only. So if you can mail me the paperwork and I'll do it. And then I think he said it again at some point, right? He said something along the lines of, "Yeah, send me, like, do we do this through the mail?" I think there is a point that he said it, and I was just trying to handle that objection, right? Like, hey, listen, we will send it to you. You have 30 days. By law, you have free look period. What do you think? Too long? Too much?
So the explanation was definitely a bit lengthy again. But the biggest mistake would be mentioning the 30-day free look. The only
Mm.
time you mention 30-day free look is if you're really trying to overcome, right? Like if someone's like, so typically whenever I use the 30-day free look and I don't talk about the free look, what I'll do is I'll say, say I've got somebody who's like, hey, look, I may want the 15,000. So I'm just trying to decide, can you give me a couple days? Hey, look, so Sebastian, whenever it comes down to it, um, we absolutely can do that. So what I'll do is I'll actually, or what we can do, there's actually 30 days for you to make any decisions, any changes to the policy if you want. So right now you feel like 12,000 is more affordable to you. Yeah, I feel like I can actually absolutely afford that. Okay, great. So let's start with the 12,000 and we've got 30 days. All you need to do is give me a call. We can go ahead and make any changes, go up or down, whichever direction you feel. So that's usually the only places. If someone's like, I don't know if I want it, I don't know this, I don't know that, I wouldn't mention the 30-day free look because now this guy has done a bunch of
Correct.
shopping. You've done a lot of talking. So did he actually hear everything? And now that you've mentioned this 30-day free look, is that potentially why he pulled the trigger on actually doing something?
Mhm.
You see? So now he's pulled the trigger. You're kind of
I know he has it now.
waiting in the wings of, well, what's going to happen? Is he going to actually keep it, or is he just going to continue to talk to people and potentially get fed? And this is I think the biggest thing that aggravates me is it would be nice if you could let it, if he could just walk around and shop and talk to all these different people. But the problem is not everybody has his best interest at heart. And that's the struggle with other insurance agents that I have is he could easily talk to somebody who would put him in a worse position, but position their whatever they're offering in a way that makes it sound better than what it really is. So
Mm.
now he's been talked out of your option because someone else came in and actually sold him on some junk. So that's the more of the issue that I would have with it is the fact that now you're left open to if he actually heard that, which it sounds like he did, if he actually heard the 30-day free look, now he's thinking, well, yeah, I'll go ahead and put this thing in place and I'll just keep calling around. And if I find something better, I'll cancel it.
Makes sense.
So,
Yep.
so only use it if you really kind of if you're in a desperate situation or if someone's debating on how much they actually want to get.
How would you have handled the whole idea of, I just want to do it through the mail, send me something through the mail. I want to see the paperwork first, if
I
not by using it.
so if it depends on how it's stated. So if they state it just as your question is, so I want to get something in the mail first before I sign anything. Hey, look, that's perfectly fine. The thing I'll let you know is there's almost no companies who will actually do that. You'd have to fill out an entire paper application all by yourself, answer all the questions, and if you answer anything incorrectly or fill out anything incorrectly, you're all on your own to make sure that it's fixed and done right. And then you've got some
Mhm.
salesman in your ear trying to sell you something else. So the way we pretty much the way everybody does business now is all over the phone. Now it's real simple. You don't have to worry about and I don't like to make mention about their personal information or anything. You don't have to worry about taking a whole bunch of time. That's what I'm here for. And I'll make sure all the notations and the application is filled out properly.
Mhm.
So whenever it comes down to it, are you only willing, you don't even have to ask anything. Just let them sit on that. Okay,
Mhm.
well, that makes sense. Let's go ahead and yeah, I'm fine with that then. But I will assure you, if you get approved, Sebastian,
Please.
when it comes down to you getting anything in the mail, I will tell you, you will get a full application. You will get the application and the full policy documents in the mail, usually within 2 weeks of making the first payment. So you'll be able to look over everything. And if anything doesn't seem as it should, you can call me. You don't have to worry about calling a call center. You can call me directly and I will help walk you through exactly what's going on. So that's how I would handle the paper in the mail situation.
Okay. Without adding the whole 30-day free look period. That
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
Avoid the 30-day free look. Yes.
As goes, I think I'm pretty healthy.
Okay. Yeah. What do you that way? But anything that they put into like the MIB saying we're gonna do any kind of tell you one quick thing. Remember I'm on your side. I'm gonna get you approved. I know exactly who to go to, so don't like I am the guy that you want to tell everything to because I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
make sure you're taking it. So your high blood pressure is diabetes. That's
Yeah.
perfectly fine. Uh,
Have to help me go to sleep at night sometimes.
awesome. So that's awesome. All right, so this is what I'm gonna do for us. You already know we're looking for whole life folks, so definitely I'm gonna give you the best price in the state, and we're gonna compare them to any other kind of prices that you would have received before. Okay, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
start you at $10,000 of coverage. Actually, I'm gonna start you at 8 because you wanted to stay around 50, and then we can go up from there. Okay, this is all gonna be whole life. This is all gonna be day one, and this is gonna be preferred grading. Now, do you have a piece of paper and a pen?
A second here, I'm getting it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. So I'm gonna give you 3 numbers and we'll go up from there. Okay. So the first one is gonna be 8,000. That's gonna be double what you need for, almost triple what you need for any cremation. 2 to 3,000
Mm-hmm.
for cremation, $5,000 for your kid. And this pays in 24 hours. That's gonna run us at $47.93 a month. Okay.
Okay.
The next one is gonna be 10,000 right at our budget. 10,000 is gonna run us at $59 a month.
Okay.
Okay, and then the next one, again, we can go higher, we can go lower from those numbers, but I'm just giving you some ideas. 12,000 is gonna run us at 70.
70 for 12. Okay.
70 for 12, yeah.
All right.
Now, out of those three, thinking the three of them are gonna cover your cremation, it's gonna be more than enough, and then every extra dollar is gonna be like a nice goodbye for your, from you to your son.
Mm-hmm.
Anything after that, I would recommend you listing budget and then coverage. I can always get you more later. You can always
Mm-hmm.
give me a call, and I'm always going to get you the best price in the state at that point in time, at that health. But like right now, thinking of, okay, this is what I can afford month to month for sure. This one is going to give me some peace of mind. What of those 3 numbers are going to be the best for you?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now this is the way I'm thinking. I want to make sure the funeral expenses are covered, so I'm really looking at the 8,000 right now because what I want to do is I want to guarantee that the funeral expenses are taken care of, but I'm trying to poke away as much money as I can on the side as a side account, I'm trying to,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to put money away, but if I got something where the funeral expenses are already covered, it'll give me a peace of mind, and that way I can try and put more money away on my own.
Yeah, that way you can save some money, improve the finances, but go to sleep every night knowing that the 8,000 is really almost triple what your son is gonna need whenever you do pass away. So at the end of the
Okay.
day, every dollar extra is gonna be like a nice gift. You're set for life, and that's something that is in your budget. Am I right?
Right. Yep. That one I can do.
Gotcha. So this is what I can do. Okay, let's go ahead and start the application.
All right. So, again, spoiler alert, if you guys didn't pick it up earlier, Sebastian does make the sale. So, congratulations on making the sale. I want to sum up just a couple things that he went over there. The getting the pen and paper is super, super important. So, very good job on having him get a pen and piece of paper. It's extremely important to have the client take the pen and piece of paper, write it down, and actually be able to see exactly what they're looking at. Okay. So, and know what they're thinking about rather than them just having the numbers in their head and then them asking you 6 times, what is this? What is that? So if we do this, what is that? They're actually putting pen to paper and they're seeing it. Yeah, it helps you a lot in the sale with them being able to actually physically see it. Okay. The one recommendation that I would have, and this is a recommendation, if you say, look, I don't like it, I don't want to do it, then that's up to you. But I would give you the recommendation of having them write down the death benefit first. So have them write down 8, 10, and 12.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I've heard you doing that. Yeah.
yes. So the reason why is instead of saying this, saying that, saying, and giving each price with each death benefit, that kind of gets them more focused on one thing. Now, some people are open and it's not as big a deal, but again, we're talking about trying to appeal to the masses. And in this case, you want to make sure give them the dollar amounts, give them the death benefit amounts, and then give them the premium amounts afterwards. That will give them it gives them a little bit the psychology behind it gives them a little bit of something different to look at rather than they wind up getting focused on one certain rate and they almost don't hear the others. So the other thing, don't point out where their budget is. So you really pointed out. So this is right at your budget. Again, your goal is to let them choose, and your goal, your hopes is that they actually pick the higher one and that they can actually afford the higher one. Okay. So by saying, this one's right at your budget. Well, now he's probably not even going to hear the 12,000 because, well, why do if this is right at my budget, why do I want to hear anything over?
Yeah, which is what I've been doing. Part of it, I guess, it's being afraid of chargebacks, right? I want to make sure they can afford it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, but yeah, I've been noticing my numbers have been really, really low. Like I've been selling over $1,000 AP most than anything else. So I gotta be careful with that.
Yeah.
About explaining, selling the vacation as, or mostly says it, right? Explaining what the number's gonna do for them. Do you like that? Do you think that's good?
Yeah.
8,000 is gonna do this, 10,000 is gonna do this.
So the only issue I have with it, a lot of people know what it's going to do for them already, or they already have preconceived notions of what they're going to do with it. So pointing it out sometimes can walk you into a hole of now I got to kind of dig out of this because then they were thinking about this and now you're putting something else. This is really kind of their decision to do with what they want. One of the things that I like to say, how I like to sell the vacation, is to say, okay, whenever that time does come, unfortunately, it's going to come for us all, right? So when that time does come for you, Sebastian, I want you to know that this is all tax-free money, and your son can use this however he wants. So if there's leftover money in the end, he can go out and buy himself a new car or whatever he wants. Does that make sense? So that's more the vacation that I try to sell. Rather than telling them, because I've literally had it where people are like, yeah, I want a funeral and I want this and I want that. And then I'm like, and then I go back and I sell them that vacation of, well, this is going to cover the funeral. Well, what if I don't want to do that? And then they feel like that's what they have to do. And it just opens up kind of a can of worms. When you leave it kind of broad and open of, look, he can take care of all the services and any money left over is completely for him to pocket 100% tax free. then that leaves everything open for them to do whatever they want. And that's really what
Make-
people want, is they want the freedom to be able to do what they want with it.
Well,
That would be my recommendation on how to actually sell the vacation, rather than pointing out the individual details, because those can change too. Those individual details, I've had people say, yeah, I used to want to be buried and now I want to be cremated. Or I used to want to be cremated. I literally just had a lady tell me the other day, I know my family is not going to, I know they're not going to cremate me because they don't want that. They want me to be buried. So I want to make sure I have enough for them. You see,
mm,
so people change their mind over time, and you don't want them to have it for 6 months and him be talking to his son and find out that he wants to be buried, and oh, now he's questioning whether he can use this, and so he wants to talk to somebody else.
mm,
Makes
makes
sense.
sense. Yeah.
So keep it open again, and it is theirs to do what they want. That was another fantastic call. I think we hit some very, very solid points. Again, good little golf clap there for Sebastian getting the sale. Really, really good job. Again, nothing in there that I was like, oh my gosh, this is just god awful, but little key points. Again, the whole goal is so that way every phone call you get on, you are 100% confident that you handled it properly and that you didn't talk yourself out of a sale, or you didn't allow the client to talk themselves out of a sale. So
Mhm.
that's why I wanted to point those things out. All you internet monsters out there, don't beat me up. I'm not beating Sebastian up in any way. Only want to see him get better. He's already beautiful, and so I just want to see him get better at sales.
Yeah, and I'm honestly, I'm always open to critique. Like that's how you get better, right? The only way that you're gonna get better is making those little changes every here and then. So yeah, thank you. So I mean, since the last recording that we did, I believe that those little details and now this, there's always gonna put me one step forward. Like yeah, and make me into the salesman that I'm trying to be. So thank you.
Yes, my pleasure. Again, and I do want to give you props. I can tell a difference, in there's more confidence. I could tell you're really trying to be that professional, the expert. And that's really important. So I do see a difference from when we first started listening to your calls till now. And absolutely continue to send them, because it's great for people to see the evolution, right? So it's really good to hear different points of view. So very glad to help you out in whatever way I can. And yeah, in the end, guys, drop some love down in the comments to Sebastian. Um, if you have any of your own critiques, throw it in there. He's always open to constructive criticism. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.
Thank you, guys.